So you just came into some sports cards and you're looking to sell them, yet you don't know anything about sports cards. How do you go about doing this? What are your options? And that's what we're going to talk about today, maybe from all the way from the easiest, maybe up to the hardest options, and talk about the positives and the negatives. And then depending on what your goal is, you can pick the option that works best for you. So believe it or not, most people probably don't know anything about sports cards in this world. I know sports cards are really hot right now, but most people have no idea. You go over to a family function at Thanksgiving and Grandpa gives you his sports card collection and you say, "Thanks, Grandpa, but what am I going to do with these things? I have no idea about what to do with these." You're not a collector. You'd rather sell them, okay? So what are your options? Well, you've got essentially probably about 5 options. You got more than that, but we're going to try to keep this really easy to understand and easy to follow along, all right? So your first option, if I were in your shoes and we're looking to sell these, the easiest is just to take them to a local sports card shop. Bring them on down there. They'll give you a bulk price for the cards. Easy for you to unload them. You don't have to travel anywhere for the most part. And they can just give you a cash price right there on the spot. So that's really what the main positives are of selling to a sports card shop. Obviously, they need inventory for their store. You have inventory, and they're going to be giving you, obviously, a wholesale price for those cards. What are some of the negatives of taking them to a sports card shop? Well, the main negative is you don't know if you're getting fleeced or not. So you don't know anything about sports cards. You're bringing these down to a local sports card shop, and they could really just be giving you anything for those cards. You may have a 1951 Bowman of Mickey Mantle and have no idea about it, and they give you $5 for a card that's worth thousands and thousands of dollars, okay? I'm not saying all sports card shops are like that, but there probably are some decent ones out there that will probably just take your cards, give you the least amount of money possible, and move on, all right? So if you don't know anything about sports cards, bringing them to a sports card shop might not be your best option, but it is the easiest way for you to get rid of them. Second option you have is to go to a card show, for example. If you go to a card show, you'll have multiple vendors there, and you can bring your cards to multiple vendors and get different quotes for your collection. So you kind of have them maybe competing against each other. And also, you will probably have more people out there that will help you in selling that collection, meaning like they will maybe take a brief look through it, honest people that are actually collectors, and say, "Wow, this one's worth a lot. These are worth nothing." Maybe you grade these. Maybe you sell these to a different vendor. You have some options there, and there actually are a bunch of good people that do go to card shows that are generally willing to help out people who don't know anything about sports cards. So that might be an option for you to do. Just go to a local card local card show. There aren't too many all around the country there. There are some that are kind of in specific spots. For example, they have like the Dallas Card Show. They've got the Autograph Convention there in Chicago. Actually, it's going to be in Cleveland this year. So that might be your best option there if you want to go to a card shop and maybe get some advice from some other collectors on selling your collection there. All right, so these next options are going to be a little bit more difficult, but they can be a little bit more profitable depending on what you have in your collection and how much time and resources you want to put into this collection that you have there, all right? So third option is to use a higher end auction site. For example, there are companies out there called Golden Auctions, PWCC, and essentially how it works is you send them your cards and they will auction them off in their upcoming auctions there. They do have kind of buy it now prices as well, but mainly they are an auction site, typically a little bit more of a higher end auction site. So for example, cards that are worth $1,000 or more is kind of what they specialize in, and even way more than that. So if you have some higher end cards that potentially you are going to maybe grading meaning you're going to send it to a company such as PSA, SGC, Beckett, for example, that might be an option for you. But again, you're probably going to have to grade these cards versus sending them in ungraded. It just depends on what you actually have in your collection, okay? I'm assuming if you got your cards from Grandpa that the cards are probably not graded and they're just sitting there in ungraded condition, all right? So that might not be a great choice for you, but if you do have some high-end cards and someone can advise you on that and you want to get them graded, then sending them to a high auction site might be a decent choice for you. Number 4 is probably one of my favorites, and that's a company called COMC. So COMC.com stands for checkoutmycards.com. And here's how this platform works. Essentially, you take all of Grandpa's cards and you literally just ship them to them. They will then scan them and they will list them in your COMC account. Now, before they go live on their website, you will need to actually set a price for them. And how you set that price is you can set it for whatever you want. But if the other cards are actually listed on their platform, they will tell you what other sellers are selling those cards for. So you can actually see what other people are selling these for. So you're not actually going to get totally fleeced on maybe selling some cards. You can see, hey, this person's selling it for $10. This person's selling it for $50. This person's selling it for $2. So you can actually make sure that you're getting a decent amount for your cards. And once they sell, COMC will ship them out for you, or they will just transfer them over to someone else's COMC account. So you don't have to do anything as far as shipping goes, okay? So that's a big benefit right there. The downside is you are going to have to put up some money to have them scan and list your cards. I believe it's 50 cents a card for lower tier ones. So if you have, let's say, 20,000 cards, it may not make sense to send all 20,000 to COMC. It's going to cost you $10,000. And plus, you're going to have all that time to go ahead and list all those cards on COMC. Listing 10 cards as far as telling what price you want, that's going to be rather tedious. I probably would not be doing that. But if you have, a couple hundred cards and you think they have some value in there, but you don't want to put much work into it, then send them out to COMC, tell them what price you want, and then you just kind of go from there. All right, you can always get your cards back from them as well. All right, 5th and final option is one that probably most people I say most people kind of like to use, but it's eBay. And eBay is probably the area or the marketplace where you're going to get the most amount of value for your card. Again, it depends on which card it is, but most cards, that's probably where most collectors are probably looking to sell their collection is there. Now, there's a couple different big positives there. Number 1, you're going to reach a ton of people. Number 2, it's a real easy to use platform. So the chances of you selling your item and getting the most amount of money for your item is pretty high with that particular platform. Some of the downfalls of it is, yes, you're going to have to take pictures of your item. You're going to have to list it. You're going to have to put a description. You're going to have to ship it out. You're going to have to do a lot of legwork when it comes to getting all your items listed and ready for sale. Another downside, of course, is they're going to take at least 15% of your sale. Other auction sites like Golden, like I mentioned before, and COMC, they'll also take a percentage too. So that is a little bit of a negative, but hey, just look at it as a marketing expense, and you're going to get your product in front of millions of people without having to spend any marketing dollars unless your item actually physically sells. Another place you can do kind of is Facebook Marketplace, but that one's, I personally would stay away from there. It seems like a lot of scumbags on there. And then, of course, you're going to have to ship your stuff. And most people aren't really looking for sports cards on there, so it's not really a kind of collector's place. My choice, if you wanted to put a little bit of effort into this selling this collection, would probably be to list it on eBay. If you don't want to put any effort into this thing and you want to just get the most amount of money you can with the least amount of effort, my thoughts would be to go to a card show and show your collection to a couple different vendors and see what they say and have them compete against each other maybe and try to get the most amount of money that way. And also so you can get some feedback from other people on the actual cards that you have. But again, it really, really depends on what you have. Please don't take this as a blanket statement for every single collection. If you are pulling out T206 cards, please don't send those to a sports card shop, okay? You probably want to get those graded and then sell them. So there's obviously different nuances around here. So having someone in your corner who's an advocate who probably knows a little bit about sports cards, that would be a big plus to have before you actually pull that trigger and actually sell this collection. So I would definitely do that, especially if you think you have something older. When by older, I mean, probably 1980s. Definitely if you have some cards from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, some of those can be very, very valuable. And of course, earlier than the 40s as well. But most cards in the modern ones, the 90s and the 2000s, a lot of those are going to be junk wax. There can be some valuable ones in there depending on what they grade. But again, it really just depends on what the collection actually entails. So hopefully this helps you out to kind of find a platform that works best for you. There is no wrong way to do it. And if you want to take them to a sports card shop and get $500 for Grandpa's collection that's worth $10,000, guess what? That's $500 that you didn't have before. And that's always a big plus there. So you guys got any questions, let us know. Don't forget to visit the website, powersportsmemorabilia.com. Also give you a follow us over there on Instagram at Powers Autographs. And I'll see you on the next episode.